Broadcasting live from the Capital OTB studios, this is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
Good morning, I am Seth Merrow, and this is Racing Across America on a Sunday morning. As usual on a Sunday, we'll take a look at some of the stakes action. Normally, we would look at some of the stakes action from yesterday, which we will because there was some nice stakes yesterday. But also going to go back earlier in the week because the Thanksgiving holiday week typically features wall-to-wall stakes action, and it kicked off on Monday out in Ohio and down in the Southwest on Tuesday and continued right through the remainder of the holiday week. So we'll hit on a number of those stakes from the past week because the potential is there for these to play into next year as these horses go from one age to the other and move from one group to another. And as I say, I would think horses coming out of this week will be worth paying attention to going forward. And speaking of worth paying attention to going forward, I once again want to remind you that this is a weekend of another of the Kentucky Future Bet weekends. We've talked about it for the past couple of days. And I didn't pull it up. Maybe I can pull it up quickly to see what the current odds are. And if anything is jumping out, if I can get it up quickly here. But a reminder, PPs, I said the last couple of days, if you go to the Kentucky Derby website, there's a link at the top of the page. It's either wagering or handicapping. You click on that, and then the next page you get to, there's a future wager link. And when you click on that, you can pull up free past performances for the future bet. I'm just scrolling down. I don't see it on my menu here, so it may not come up until the day starts. But that'll end at the end of today. You had yesterday's 2-year-old races to take a look at, maybe get some ideas from. But also this week is the lone Kentucky Derby future pool for sires, and that's kind of fun as well. You could make a bet on the sire that will produce the Kentucky Derby winner. So again, keep that in mind for today. Those will wrap up at the end of the day today. Otherwise, let's kind of jump into it. Last week on the show, I was joined by Matt Hook from Mahony Valley last Sunday because I wanted to preview the big day they had Monday at Mahony Valley. Annually, that Steel Valley Sprint tops the action at Mahony for $250,000. And it was a nice full field going back to last Monday. And Matt and I went through the stakes action. I think we touted some decent horses to take a look at, not the least of which, 7-2, Tejano Twist. I had pulled up a replay of Tejano Twist winning at Keeneland in the prior start. And Tejano Twist, sure enough, comes back. Chris Landeros on board to get it done on Monday in the Steel Valley Sprint. Tejano Twist will be the number 5 horse. Again, as I say, a nice little 7-2. So you got $9. Knocker Down runs second, coming out of a triple-digit buyer win at Churchill. And then the favorite, Scarmouche, with Irod Ortiz on board at 6-5, winds up running third in here. But you can see nice little late run there from Tejano Twist to get it done at a $9 mutual. So a nice little price there getting it done. As I say, Scarmouche coming in from Parks from Guadalupe Preciado with a 6-win and 9-start record. And Irod Ortiz elected to come in and ride, vie for that $250,000. Couldn't get it done, winds up third. But Tejano Twist, as I say, coming out of what I thought was a nice win at Keeneland, that had the horse set up well, and that's exactly the way it worked out. More importantly, maybe it's interesting that race at Keeneland, 14th of October, it was Tejano Twist's last race. It was Knocker Down 3 races back, but they had run 1-2 in that Keeneland race, so they came back on Monday to run 1-2 and exact $37 exacta there with the horses, as they say. Running 1-2 again after they had a little bit earlier for Knocker Down in the previous start. from Tejano Twist. Hoist the Gold was also a little bit interesting, coming out of a second in the Perryville behind Gunite. And so I thought Hoist the Gold was a little bit intriguing. That one winds up fourth under Brian Hernandez. But again, it was a nice little run from Tejano Twist, a horse that we talked about with Matt last week. Didn't pull up the rest of the replays, but just to kind of recap, because as they say, Irod Ortiz could do no better than third in the big race. But you send Irod out to Mahony Valley for a big day, and he winds up winning the Youngstown Oaks with Disco Ebo. So gets it done there. The horse that I thought was interesting, You're So Silly, in that race wound up disappointing seventh at 5-1. But Dancing at Midnight, we like that one in the distaff. Winds up second as the co-choice at 8-5. The winner, Tivis, another horse we talked a little bit about with Matt last week, but more importantly, Irod Ortiz on board. So he didn't have a bad day with some stakes victories. We like Lionistic in the First Lady. Lionistic got it done as the second choice, $4 and change. And in the Cardinal, I thought Morse Stride was intriguing. Second choice wound up third. Dougie Dioro, the even money favorite, got it done in the distaff. But it was a fun day stakes action at Mahony on Monday. Again, kicking off a holiday week chock full of stakes action, and that moved to Zia Park down in the Southwest on Tuesday as they had the Zia Park Derby and the Oaks and a nice undercard of stakes races as well. And in the Zia Park Derby, field of 6 faced off. Coming in from Southern California for trainer Peter Miller was Perfect Flight. Had tried to turf last time and had run third, but 2 starts back was a winner and an optional claimer out at Santa Anita. Perfect Flight going out for, as I say, Peter Miller, Gary Barber, Ricardo Santana out at Zia for the ride, and gets it done over number 5 Apprehend, another Peter Miller horse coming in off a triple-digit buyer win at Santa Anita in the previous start, but could do no better than second as the 30 cent to a dollar favorite. You can see there, it just got going a little too late. By then, Perfect Flight was, no pun intended, off to the races, and gets it done at 9-2, $11 and change for Perfect Flight. The Peter Miller Exacta paid $21 and change. So coming in from Southern California, they invade and get it done. Zia Park Oaks, it was Bella Runner, Ricardo Santana 4, Steve Asmussen, Bella Runner coming in off a second place finish in the previous start at Keeneland. And as I say, some of these horses interesting to watch going forward. You know, Perfect Flight out on the West Coast moves into the handicap division next year. What we've seen so far, I don't know if this horse is going to be a super player, but relatively lightly raced with 9 starts and 3 wins, including that Zia Park Derby. So Perfect Flight, interesting going forward. But Bella Runner, transitioning out of the 3-year-old fillies when the calendar turns into older fillies and mares could be an interesting runner. You know, given what we saw so far this year, maybe on the second tier, but an Asmussen runner that has shown some ability so far. The Zia Park Oaks, and I didn't pull up the replay, but Bella Runner got it done by 4 lengths as the second choice for, again, Steve Asmussen and Ricardo Santana in the 7th career start. So a couple wins, couple seconds, and 7 starts. Again, not a superstar, but could be interesting watching going forward, being that lately raced. And Zia Park Championship, Soy Tapatio getting it done for Robertino Diodoro. So nice day, Zia Park Sprint, competitive idea, got it done. And as I say, nice day out at Zia as well. So the week started out fun, interesting. Mahony and Zia, and again, some horses, worth watching going forward, I would think. I don't know whether at the upper echelon, but they'll be intriguing playing in their various divisions next year. Now, I will say, as we move forward, here's one that will be worth watching going forward. We move back now to Thursday, Thanksgiving Day. Nice day at Churchill. I said it when we were on the air. I came in and did OTB Live on Thanksgiving Day, and we had some Churchill and Fairgrounds. We also had Laurel with their pie giveaway. So it's a nice day for the Laurel as well. But Churchill and Fairgrounds, owned by the same company, and they do it up on Thanksgiving. At both tracks, Churchill and Fairgrounds had a nice crowd. Fairgrounds, I think it's a little more of a tradition, but they had a nice crowd at Churchill. Folks showing up for racing and turkey dinner. Scott Shapiro yesterday mentioned what a nice crowd they had. We had him on Racing Across America yesterday. Talked a little bit about, mentioned what a nice crowd at Churchill on Thanksgiving Day. So it was a fun day to be in here and watching the racing. But it was fun to see the crowds on the aprons and whatnot, but also really good action. And as I say, this will be a horse to watch going forward. The Falls City at Churchill, grade 3 event, $500,000 up for grabs, 1 1/8 the trip. I liked Played Hard. The betting public liked Played Hard. 45 cents to the dollar favorite. Played Hard. Joe Rosario on board, takes them all the way around and looks really good doing it for trainer Phil Bauer and Rigney Racing. Phil Bauer, after the race, certainly was feeling pretty good and looking forward to coming back next year with Played Hard. And given what we saw from her on Thursday, again, the gap closes a little bit here, but she's getting geared down by Joel Rosario. Bellamore second, She's All Wolf third. Nice performance from Played Hard. And as I say, the races that we saw this week will play into next year. And clearly with Played Hard, she's going to be kind of fun and interesting to watch in that filly and mare division in 2023. Another horse, this isn't even next year. She's been fun to watch throughout the career so far. In the Cardinal at Churchill Downs, 1 1/8 on the grass. I put Adventuring on top, and that one went off as the favorite for Brad Cox and wound up no better than third. Number 3, Perseverencia, goes off at 12-1 and winds up second. I did not have that one in my mix, but the leak I had down in the third spot. And as I was handicapping on Thursday in here, I said, man, I really like this horse. It might take him all the way around. And that's exactly what she did. You can see here, she was in front all the way, and there was no threat in the stretch when they turned for home under Brian Hernandez for the Outstall trainee. She's just a really, really nice 6-year-old mare. This was win number 10 and start number 31. She's won going into the race. She was already well over $1 million, and with the $300,000 purse, she's now approaching $1.5 million. I was calculating whether she passed that, but I don't think she did with the purse money on Thursday, but it put her right in that area of $1.5 million. So on the front end, Dalika gets it done. And again, she's just very, very talented and has an affinity also for Churchill Downs. That was her 8th start on the Churchill turf, 4 wins and 3 seconds when she races there. And that preferred style out there on the front end. And again, I kind of kicked myself as I was in handicapping. I looked, and the more I looked, the more I thought, you know what, she may just go out there and take them all the way around. And I may be sitting on the outside looking in, and about the head of the stretch, all that as she gets it done. But she's, as I say, some horses to look forward to next year. We saw this week, but there are also some horses that were very good already in their careers, and Dalika is one of those. Moving to Friday, nice action down at Churchill on Friday, highlighted by the Clark. And interesting entrant here, of course, was Rich Strike, the Derby winner, who I was in the camp right after the Derby. I said, that's a complete fluke. This horse, it's just You saw the big effort. But then subsequent to that, the fourth place finish in the Travers was okay. But more importantly, the Lucas Classic, where this horse really duked it out down the lane with Hot Rod Charlie, seems to indicate Rich Strike does legitimately have some talent. Loves Churchill Downs, had won the Derby, obviously, but 2 wins and a second place finish. That Lucas Classic second place finish and 3 starts at Churchill. So returning to Churchill, Rich Strike was very, very interesting, but disappoints on Friday. Number 4, Rich Strike, winds up running 6th in the field of 6 as the second choice. The favorite was West Will Power, the number 7. I liked West Will Power. I was feeling pretty good when we picked up the action. You saw had a little bit of a lead. I had right underneath Proxy, and I'm still thinking West Will Power is going to gut it. No, Proxy's going to go by. Nice win for Proxy. Michael Stidham, Godolphin Racing. West Will Power, the horse I liked. Again, top of the stretch and about the 8th pole, I thought, I'm in a great spot here. But Proxy had a great trip all the way around. Joel Rosario on board. Winds up the third choice, $7.08 as they pay now to the penny down in Kentucky. West Will Power third, West Will Power second, and Folsom runs third. And as I say, Rich Strike last. Again, I mentioned this yesterday. I saw on Twitter that they had talked to the owner and they looked at Rich Strike and seemed to find an infection, a sinus infection that they were going to treat the horse for. I haven't seen a follow-up on that, however, though, but I'm going to keep looking. You can keep checking as well. That would certainly explain, as I say, given what we've seen from Rich Strike down at Churchill, that would explain things. There was also the quick turnaround right after the race. Quick in terms of Rich Strike. Right after the race, trainer Eric Reed said, maybe we came back too quickly. So that could explain it as well. But we'll see Rich Strike next year as a 4-year-old, certainly, and hopefully he bounces back. I'd love to see him. I had Eric Reed on the show this summer up at Saratoga. Fun conversation. Love to see Rich Strike put a nice stakes win on the resume before he leaves the track, and we'll see what happens next year with that one. That said, Proxy, they said right after the race that, being Godolphin owned, no shock, they will point towards the Dubai World Cup next year. So nice edition of the Clark. A little earlier on that card on Friday, we also saw the Mrs. Revere. I like Bubble Rock. Put Bubble Rock on top for Brad Cox. Joel Rosario on board, and Bubble Rock does get it done on the front end all the way around. Joyful Applause runs second, and Take a Stand runs third. So you had the 8-5 favorite on top, but then 34-1 and 38-1. Excuse me, running second and third. So you wound up with $5.32 as the winning price. $179 exacta. The triple for 50 cents, $913. So if you looked and found the 2 interesting horses underneath and put them in your mix, you got a little value from the favorite winning. I didn't. I like the favorite. The second and third place finishers I wasn't quite as high on, but Brad Cox, Joel Rosario, Bubble Rock getting it done in the Mrs. Revere on Friday as well. So nice action, as I say, down at Churchill on the holiday, leading into the holiday weekend period, Thursday and Friday. In a few minutes, we'll also look at some of the action from yesterday, which was a lot of fun down there with the 2-year-olds in action down at Churchill yesterday. But once again, going back to Friday and nice stakes action at Aqueduct as well. This pull this one up and we'll pick it up kind of going into the far turn, because the number 2 Temple City Terror, I had that one on top. I thought Rocky Sky was a little bit interesting though at the 4-1. Yeah, we picked it up a little late. You didn't quite get to see the move from Temple City Terror. But, boy, Temple City Terror really made a big move on the turn and then just keeps going, and gets by Rocky Sky to win it here. As I say, I kind of thought Rocky Sky, the more I looked at the race, was a little bit interesting at the price. And coming into the stretch, I thought, yeah, maybe. But, boy, that move from Temple City Terror just really kind of swallowed him up on the turn and gets it done. At $3.30, Rocky Sky second, California Queen third, Jose Ortiz on board for Brendan Walsh. And Temple City Terror just very, very good. Coming out of a win in a stake at Keeneland prior to Friday's win, 29 career starts, 7 wins, well over $700,000 now in the bank. Nice little 6-year-old mare for Brendan Walsh and company, getting it done in the Long Island. A little bit later on the card was the Comely, and this one was intriguing because it was the return of Kathleen O. Kathleen O earlier this year when we were down in Florida for the Florida Derby earlier this year. I was very impressed by her win in the Gulfstream Park Oaks. And subsequently, she shows up in the Kentucky Oaks. And so we're watching the stretch run here. It is 63 caliber getting it done. And Kathleen O makes a late run, but I think is okay. Kathleen O, again, coming out of the Gulfstream Park Oaks, had a bright future for Shug and company, but wound up 5th in the Kentucky Oaks and was subsequently off since that Kentucky Oaks. So there was a long layoff. This was a comeback for a horse that had shown a lot of talent. Kathleen O subsequently, because of that, goes off as the even money favorite. A layoff like that, that even money seemed a little short. Certainly she had displayed plenty of talent, but you could make the case to go in another direction. I had 63 caliber down in my mix. I wasn't super thrilled with that one. I took a little shot with Falconet, winds up having a little bit of trouble at the start and winds up 4th in there at a price. The thought was right, though. Kathleen O off the layup maybe isn't going to be totally cranked up. That said, again, you saw it. She made a nice late run. The chart margin is only half the length. I think this was a great kind of starting point for the comeback for Kathleen O. We will see going forward, but being a Shug horse probably winds up down at Gulfstream, down in Florida this winter, and we'll watch. She's still really lightly raced, only 6 starts so far in the career for Kathleen O. All of that said, it was Tommy Amos in 63 caliber, also relatively lightly raced, and this horse, got a little bit overlooked at 11-1, but if you look, came into the race 4 wins in 6 career starts, including a nice stakes win in the previous start at Churchill, came in with some nice workouts. Nice little win for 63 caliber Tommy Amos, Kendra Carmouche. And Kendra Carmouche had a pretty nice holiday weekend as well. And I wanted to show one more stake from Friday, a little bit earlier on the card. It was a state bred stakes race for New York bred 2-year-olds, the Notebook, going 6 furlongs. And wouldn't surprise me if this horse winds up with some New York bred honors at the end of the year. I liked Acoustic Avenue. Don't Lose Cruise, the number 4. Acoustic Avenue 3, 4 Don't Lose Cruise wound up as the favorite in the race. Nice late run from Starquist, who I thought could be a little bit interesting as well from John Kimmel. But I liked Acoustic Avenue with already the stakes winning experience under the belt, and he guts it out. For Dean Reeves, Christophe Clement, I heard or read after the race some stats for Dean Reeves and Christophe Clement in stakes wins this year. Most or many with New York breds like Acoustic Avenue, and the number was really, it kind of validated what we saw up at Saratoga, where Dean Reeves had a really good meet up at Saratoga, including the maiden breaker from Acoustic Avenue. But subsequently, That one ran third in the funny side at Saratoga, and then won the Aspirant, won the New York Breeders' Futurity, and now wins the Notebook. And as I say, I wanted to show that because Acoustic Avenue, solid little New York bred, 4 wins in 5 career starts so far for Dean Reeves and Christophe Clement, and maybe has a little bit of a spot on the mantelpiece waiting for a New York bred trophy when those honors are handed out a little bit later next year. So some good stakes action, as I say, in the week leading up to the weekend. When we come back, we'll take a look at some of the Saturday stakes action as well. But as I say, it was a fun week. Started out in Ohio and then the Southwest, and went to Thanksgiving at Churchill, and the Friday action, Churchill and Aqueduct as well, with some nice performances from some notable horses. As I say, some to watch going forward next year, and some who have already made their noise this year and just added to that resume. But when we come back, we'll take a look at some of the stakes action from yesterday, including the nice 2-year-old action down at Churchill Downs. All of that right after this, when Racing Across America continues. Stay tuned.
Capital OTB is now streaming live on Roku. The RTN Racing channel on Roku lets you watch OTB TV live through your Roku device or your Amazon Fire Stick, rather than being limited to computers and mobile devices, which means you can now watch OTB live wherever you are. Simply open Roku, scroll to find the RTN channel, then click on OTB TV. OTB TV on Roku. Try it now.
No matter where in the world you are, the excitement of wagering on horse racing is just a click away. You'll get live streaming, past performances, race replays, our virtual tote board, analysis and selections from professional handicappers, a simple, safe, and secure wagering platform, and best of all, you get track prices. CapitalOTBBet.com. Bet any place, anytime at CapitalOTBBet.com. And be sure to download our new mobile app from the iTunes Store or Google Play.
Welcome back to Racing Across America. Seth Merrow in the studio. Thanks for joining us again. We looked at some of the stakes action from earlier in the holiday week. Now we'll concentrate on yesterday. Nice stakes action at Aqueduct yesterday. They were on the grass. They wrap up grass racing in New York this weekend. So we got a chance to see some of the stakes action on the turf yesterday before things got wrapped up there. But yesterday, the Central Park, 2-year-olds going a mile on the grass. I liked General Jim. General Jim did go off as a 7-5 favorite, winds up third in here. Dandy Handyman, Kerry Breon runner, winds up second. But the winner, Bat Flip, and I had Bat Flip right underneath. I had General Jim on top and Bat Flip in the second spot. But I'll tell you what, at 9-2, this horse was very interesting from Todd Pletcher, coming off of a win in the most recent effort when stretched to 2 turns. Seemed to maybe have an appreciation for the route and validated that really nicely. Chart margin here is 1.5 lengths. And again, you got $11 and change. Bat Flip, Jose Ortiz, Todd Pletcher. Start of the career was on the dirt in a couple of tries up at Saratoga. Subsequently went downstate, tried the turf. First 3 starts of the career, though, 6 furlongs, 6.5 furlongs, 6 furlongs. Seemed to improve slightly on the turf at 6 furlongs, but then in the previous start to yesterday, stretched out to 1.16 miles and won pretty nicely. So it just seems like this horse was maybe waiting for a little bit of a trip because the buyer went up nicely as well. The buyer in that maiden breaker in the previous start, first time at 1.16 miles, first time 2 turns, was an 81. Fired an 80 yesterday. And again, the first 3 starts of the career, we were looking at 52, 62, and 69. So it seems like Bat Flip appreciated the stretch out in the last couple of starts, and it seemed to be validated by a couple of wins and a couple of buyers that stand out a little bit on the resume. So Bat Flip gets it done in the Central Park. And again, should be an interesting player in that division I talk about quite a bit. I like quite a bit the subdivision of the 3-year-olds on the turf. I would think Bat Flip is going to play into that very nicely when the calendar turns in just a little over a month and he becomes a 3-year-old. In the fall high weight yesterday, 6 furlongs the trip, grade 3 event, $175,000. And Greeley and Ben, had Greeley and Ben in my mix. I like to factor it in. Factor it in, winds up third as the number 6 horse. The favorite was Running Son of a Gun. Had that one in my mix as well. But Greeley and Ben, the number 1 horse, gets it done under Manny Franco in an absolute ding-dong finish. Our friends at West Point Thoroughbred also had Jackson Traveler, the number 2 in here, who looks great right here. You think Jackson Traveler is going to get it done. And then, it's, as I say, this just becomes some heck of a finish. And you can see in between there, it looked a little bit like Running Son of a Gun got a little squeezed maybe. So he was perhaps a little bit unlucky as he was kind of sitting there, and it looked like maybe didn't have as much room as would have been optimal, but still then gets up and gets second. The chart margins here, Greeley and Ben, a neck over Running Son of a Gun, who is ahead in front of Factor It In, who is ahead in front of Jackson Traveler. And again, it's the fall high weight, so the weights there 130, 132, 132, 131. Not the old days of the fall high weight necessarily, but still, when you're getting over 130, that counts. So I tip my cap to all 4 of the horses there. It was just a really entertaining edition of the fall high weight. And Greeley and Ben comes away with a solid 98 buyer figure. Under Manny Franco there, and I'm just looking, the 98 is a lifetime best buyer for Greeley and Ben. So nice performance there in the fall high weight. Also on the card yesterday at Aqueduct was the Red Smith mile and 3/8, and frustrating for bettors if you didn't have Astronaut. Happy result if you did have Astronaut. Astronaut for Tommy Albatrani, the number 4 horse. Kendrick Carmouche, and I said he's had a nice weekend, a nice holiday week. Kendrick Carmouche gets it done, the number 4 horse here on the front end all the way around. And, you know, there's been comment on social media. It's been hard to make up ground recently at Aqueduct. But, you know, that said, 24 and change, 49 and change, 114 and change. So Astronaut certainly was not getting pushed necessarily. Highest honors runs second under Irod Ortiz. Cold Hard Cash runs third in there. I like Soldier Rising. Soldier Rising wind up, a disappointing ninth in the field for Christophe Clement and Jose Ortiz. But it was a competitive event on paper, and it played out. Horse takes him all the way around at 15-1. That's why I say if you had the horse and your horse is out there floating on the lead and then in the stretch looks fresh as a daisy, you got to be just feeling great at a $32 mutual. All of that said, it was a legit run when you look at the buyer. Astronaut winds up with a 102 buyer in taking the Red Smith yesterday. And just looking here, that was a lifetime best for Astronaut as well. Came out of a third place finish behind Warlike Goddess in the Turf Classic in the previous start. Kendrick Carmouche on board then also, but Carmouche getting it done in the Red Smith on the front end. So there was your action yesterday at Aqueduct. at Churchill yesterday. Let me see if I can also pull up quickly our stats because there were yesterday at Churchill was fun. They're wrapping up their fall meet today, and so they came into yesterday, and I had Scott Shapiro on, and we talked a little bit about the trainer standing and the jockey standing, and the jockeys. Luis Saez had a one race lead, had a one win lead on Tyler Gaffalione, who was one ahead of Brian Hernandez going into yesterday. But then Luis Saez went totally unconscious yesterday, and I'm just validating where we stand now. So again, Saez was one ahead of Gaffalione yesterday, who was one ahead of Brian Hernandez. After yesterday, Saez 6 ahead of Tyler Gaffalione, who is tied with Brian Hernandez. So 6 ahead of Gaffalione and Hernandez. So essentially put the title in his back pocket. They all still have full cards to go today, but it would be tough. That's all based on 6 wins for Luis Saez yesterday, and he won 5 of the first 6 at Churchill Downs. Luis Saez and his agent Karen McLaughlin just having an insane meet down there at Churchill. Normally this time of year, Luis, last couple of years, has been in New York. They decided Churchill. Great move, Karen and Luis, as again, you would think with the numbers have sewn up the jockey title with a phenomenal day yesterday. Speaking of Luis Saez, played into the Kentucky Jockey Club. I said I was interested in Freedom Trail, who was 2 for 2 for John Terranova on the turf, but I thought there was a little back breeding. You look down the breeding, there's opportunity in there. I thought there was a little dirt breeding for Freedom Trail. I thought we would get some odds. We did at 5-1. And Freedom Trail, the number 6 horse, around the turn looks good. And I'm thinking, I'm live here with this horse. Seems to be taking to the dirt. So Freedom Trail was right there late in the race, but eventually gets swallowed up as they kind of turn for home. And Freedom Trail is going to wind up 8th in the field of 9. The winner, Instant Coffee. I had that one right underneath. That was the logical player. Went off as the favorite. Brad Cox, Al Gold, Instant Coffee by Bolt d'Oro, won the career debut. And then they ran 4th behind Forte in the next start. But a nice win yesterday in the Kentucky Jockey Club. Curly Jack for Tommy Amos, who ran 5th behind Forte in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile in his prior start, but had won the Iroquois 2 starts back here at Churchill. So Curly Jack went off as the second choice, winds up 2nd. And then Hayes Strike runs 3rd in their Red Route 1, who also looked to be a potential player, winds up 4th. But Instant Coffee gets it done. Under Luis Saez for Brad Cox and Al Gold. Brad Cox, Al Gold, of course, had Cyberknife this year. Now they have another little interesting 3-year-old heading into next year, turning 3-year-old. Obviously, a 2-year-old yesterday, as yesterday was all 2-year-olds. And it was a fun day. Hopefully you were tuned in, pulled up the one sheet. I love the 2-year-olds, and it was a nice day on the one sheet. I went 6 for 12 with winners and had the winner of the nightcap, the Asmussen runner, that paid $25. So it was a nice fun day. I love the 2-year-olds. And so yesterday for me was a lot of fun, including the stakes. And that said, it was an 82 buyer. So it did not jump off the page. In Instant Coffee's career debut victory up at Saratoga, fired an 85 in the Breeders' Futurity, in 81, running 4th, and yesterday an 82. So, respectable number this time of year for a 2-year-old, but it clearly did not jump off the page by any means. But Instant Coffee getting it done yesterday in the Kentucky Jockey Club. And again, that always bodes well. I always think this time of year, the 2-year-old stakes races down at Churchill are very salty, and they're always worth watching the performances going forward. And on a day like this, even those maidens and allowance races, you're going to have to pay attention to some of the horses coming out of yesterday. One of the other ones to pay attention to, obviously, will be the winner of the Goldenrod. Who's your filly? Edgar Morales on board for Tommy Amos. Came into the race 2 for 2 with 2 really nice-looking performances and did it again. Who's your filly is the number 4 horse here. Knock your socks off at 24 to run second. Pretty mischievous, runs third in here. But who's your filly validates the 48 cent to the dollar favoritism, $2.96 for the victory. But Tommy Amos, after the race, very effusive, really likes this filly, one of the better horses he's had in his barn, he says. So, again, now 3 for 3. Chart margin yesterday was 5. Chart margin in the Rags to Riches win back in October was 7.5. So this horse now a couple of stakes victories on the 3-race resume, both by open lengths. Nice performance. Again, that said, 81 buyer. So, again, perfectly respectable for a 2-year-old this time of year. It just does not necessarily jump off the page. So we'll see what these horses do. They're still lightly raced, upside going forward. We'll see how it plays out. I didn't call for the replays, but there were a couple other 2-year-old races, 2-year-old stakes races on the card yesterday. There were 2-year-old sprints. The Fern Creek, it was red carpet ready, getting it done at 7 to 1 for Rusty Arnold, Brian Hernandez on board, and 2-year-old boys. It was powerful getting it done for Steve Asmussen, and powerful. And again, these were 2-year-old sprint races. We'll see. You have a 2-year-old, and they're talented. You are tempted to try 2 turns. Now they've done that with powerful. We'll see what the future holds, whether they're tempted again. But these may be, as we turn 3 in another month and a week or so, these may be horses that will be more sprint meant throughout the 3-year-old season. But we will see more about that. Powerful was Tyler Gaffleon on board for Steve Asmussen. So again, Gaffleon and Brian Hernandez had wins on the card yesterday, but no match for Mr. Saez with the 6-win day down at Churchill yesterday. Finally, let's take a look at Delmar and the Seabiscuit handicap yesterday. Grade 2 event, $250,000, mile and 16th on the grass. Santon was out there for Brendan Walsh. He was in the winner's circle on Friday and said he was headed out to hop on a plane and head to Delmar to watch Santon. Santon went off as the second choice. Yeah, 7-2, the second choice. The favorite, number 3, Hong Kong Harry at 8-5. Hong Kong Harry gets it done with a nice late run here. Santon, no better than 4th. So Santon was chart margin neck, head, 3 1/4. So Santon about 4 lengths back in 4th as the second choice. Had maybe a little trouble in the race early, but a little bit disappointing for Santon coming west to try the crowd in the Seabiscuit. But winner Hong Kong Harry goes out for Phil D'Amato. And as I say, went off as the favorite. A lot of that, I'm sure, was the win in the Delmar Mile early in September with a triple-digit buyer. And again, the bettors focus so much on those buyers. You look at that, you had to feel like the horse was going to take some serious action. Smooth Like Straight, Santon disappointing running 4th, excuse me. Smooth Like Straight disappointing, though, is the third choice. You had 4 to 1. Also maybe a little trouble early, but was in it early and then faded to be a well-beaten 7th in the field of 8. Smooth Like Straight, talented millionaire for Mike McCarthy, tried the Breeders' Cup Mile and ran 9th, and the 7th place finish yesterday had to be a disappointment as well. But nice run and wins from the favorite in the Seabiscuit handicap, Hong Kong Harry. Flavian Pratt on board for Phil D'Amato. So there was stakes action yesterday. Earlier we looked at stakes action this week. It was a great holiday week of action. We'll have more of that today. I'll be back on later for OTB Live. And in fact, we'll take a break and we'll come back and we will look at some of today's action, do a little handicapping before we wrap things up for Sunday morning racing across America. And maybe hit on some news and notes as well from the past few days. So stay tuned. We will be back in a moment. We've done some review. Now we'll do a little preview when we come back with some handicapping. See you after this.
Come on.
I want sales reports on my desk by Monday.
Oops, my bad. Love racing? RTN brings you every live simulcast on your home television, plus live video streaming and race replays on your PC and mobile devices. To order, visit rtn.tv. RTN, a breed apart.
Birdstone is an outside. They're coming down to the finish. Can Smarty Jones hold on? Here comes Birdstone. Birdstone surges past. Birdstone wins the Belmont Stakes.
But here comes Seth Merrow with the defending champ to take it to Hall. These two arch rivals head to head with Joe Hart very dominant. It's going to be a 3-horse photo finish to the turn. Here's the wire. Photo finish.
Having trouble finding us? It's actually quite simple. Whether online or on your TV, it's never been easier to watch and wager on championship horse racing with Capital OTB. Simply log on to capitalotbbet.com. There you can watch our morning shows, live stream races, and wager on our state-of-the-art wagering platform. You can also watch from the comfort of your home on Spectrum Cable Channel 1250 or FiOS Channel 467, and win more with Capital OTB.
Welcome back to Racing Across America. Again, I said I'd hit on some news, and one thing I do want to hit on, we talked a little bit about it, Anthony Mormino and I, in the Handicapper Support yesterday, but if you missed that, and if you missed the news in print this week, worth noting, Fairgrounds, if you've seen or been paying attention, Fairgrounds said coming into the meet, they were expecting kind of limited turf action. They were going to move the rail out, and they thought, that would mitigate things a little bit and give the inside a chance to grow. If you saw some of the pictures on Twitter, there were some big yellow spots. Well, subsequently came out a couple days ago, there will not be any turf racing at Fairgrounds until late December at the earliest. And it was a little bit puzzling, gee, what happened to the turf course? Well, this article by Marcus Hirsch in the Racing Forum explains it. If you've been paying attention to just national news, there are some drought conditions in parts of, the middle part of the country. In the Mississippi, the level has gone down. And they have a well at the fairgrounds that they use to water the turf course that is somehow related to the level of the Mississippi. And if the Mississippi goes down enough, the well then takes in water from the Gulf of Mexico, salt water, essentially. So unbeknownst to the folks at Fairgrounds who have used this well, and according to this, they have used it without problem, has been used without incident for more than 15 years. And so unbeknownst to them, they're watering with salt water, which obviously is not going to work. And so that put the kibosh on the turf course. And so now that they have figured out the problem, obviously they're trying to mitigate things. And so hopefully we'll keep our eyes on Fairgrounds, but no turf racing until late December. And it's, hard to put cards together when you're anticipating turf racing and barns have brought turf horses down anticipating it. We'll see how that plays out over the next month or so down at Churchill. Hope the best for them and the horsemen and hope things work out. Be interesting to see how it plays out. Tampa may benefit, you would think, with the turf course that most horsemen seem to appreciate over there. And if you have turf runners, maybe that becomes your alternative. They're going to be back on the turf fairly soon. And let me see if I can actually find the Mike Welch tweet, because he tweeted out just a couple of days ago about Gulfstream and when they come back, which I think fairly soon, if I'm not mistaken, according to Mike Welch. And here I have, see if I can pull up where I saw that. And again, here, turf race, according to Mike Welch, his tweet, Mike Welch from the Racing Forum, turf racing returns to Gulfstream on December 1st, with 3 races carded on the newly renovated course for both next Thursday and Friday's program. So sooner rather than later, turf comes to Gulfstream. But other than that, with turf ending here in the Northeast, the options become limited with no turf down at the fairgrounds. And so, as I say, we'll see that maybe it does benefit. I love Tampa, and Tampa turf racing is already a lot of fun. So maybe over the next month, we'll see how that plays out. And if you do see some trainers, you look down in the workout lines and see some fairgrounds horses coming over to Tampa, which wasn't all that unusual to begin with, but we'll see. All right, let me take a look at this afternoon. And again, I'll be back in, I don't know, an hour and a half or so to kick things off on OTB Live on a Sunday afternoon. But giving you some thoughts on the late pick 4 at Aqueduct today. Again, not putting a ticket together or anything. Haven't seen scratches yet. But at Aqueduct today, the late pick 4 kicks off with race number 6, the Tepin. Again, as they wrap up the turf season, we will get a shot of these 2-year-old fillies going a mile on the grass. I put Sweet Lou's Got Aces on top, scratched yesterday to get a shot at this field today. And again, yesterday they were talking about some potential weather there. So I'm giving you turf selections. We will know later when I'm back on for OTB Live how this actually plays out. And I suppose I can see if our friend Mark Hennig has tweeted out. He's usually pretty reliable if things have, if there's an early change up with that situation. And okay, they're still on the turf, but a few hours ago, Mark Hennig tweeted out with rain, in the afternoon forecast, MTOs are being held in both the turf stakes. So at this point, we're on, again, Sweet Lou's Got Aces coming off the nice second place finish last time. And again, that they elected to bypass yesterday and take the shot today is interesting. Alluring Angel comes out of a 4th in the Miss Grillo, but was 2nd in a Kentucky Downs stake, 2 starts back. But the buyers are moving in the right direction. I think is primed to run well. And Smoky Eyes for Christophe Clement and Dean Reeves. Again, nice little New York bred for them. And I mentioned earlier how potent that team has been this year with these types of horses. In the 6th at Aqueduct, 1, 9, 6, and 5. 7th race, the Discovery, one of the last 3-year-old stakes of the year. And I have it 1, 7, 4, and 2. I put Be Better on top. Tried the turf last time in the Hill Prince. The number was okay. Finishing position was disappointing 9th. So they had their experiment. Now they're back on dirt. This horse showed some ability early. The last couple, not so much. I'm wondering with the scenario, the turf to dirt and dropping in here. I think this horse stands a real shot of rebounding to a nice performance and maybe at a touch of value off the last 2. St. Tappan in the 2nd spot, like the top pick. This is a Todd Pletcher trainee. First couple of starts of the career, very promising. Then they got ambitious, tried to stake down at Churchill. Didn't offer much there. Came back at Keeneland and ran an okay 3rd. Like the top pick, I think the horse is maybe better than we've seen in the last couple. Win it in the 3rd spot for John Kimmel, coming off a nice win last time in I was going to say arguably the best performance of the career, but I have to say the Maiden Breaker was also pretty good. But the last was good enough to think this horse seems to be in good form right now, particularly given the bullet workout coming in. 7th at Aqueduct, 1-7, 4-2. The Autumn Days is that other stake that was referred to in Mark Henning's tweet. They're keeping the MTOs in. So again, we'll know better this afternoon on OTB Live what the situation is. But right now on turf in the 8th, 2-9-7-1, change of control. Nice little 4-1 for the Michelle Lovell runner. And I'm going back to, we had Michelle on with us up in Saratoga. And I saw her in the winner's circle after the Smart and Fancy. And I said, man, your horse ran very well. And she was disappointed at the close-up second to Caravel, but she also thought the horse ran well. Of course, Caravel subsequently with a nice performance Keeneland Breeders' Cup weekend. So that race 2 back says change of control, getting back to turf is interesting. Lady Edith coming out of a win in the Floral Park last time for Christophe Clement, and Mail Order, the Bill Mott runner. Lately raced 3 wins in 8 starts. A little bit of feast or famine. The horse either wins or seems to not run particularly well. But on a good effort, Mail Order, maybe a price is interesting. Again, assuming turf, I have the 8th at Aqueduct, 2-9-7-1. And finally, at Aqueduct, race number 9, maiden claimers, 6-2-1-9. I'll put Baby Socks on top. First-time starter. Didn't pay a lot of money for this horse. They paid $15. They debuted for $30. I kind of like that. By collected, there's maybe a little bit of breeding here that is interesting. I think we'll get a price. I don't think the horses that have run are any kind of world beaters. So we'll go with a fresh face, Baby Socks on top. Lady Shylock, another firster by collected for Rob Falcone. And again, it just looks like a race where you can take a shot for the fresh face, quote unquote. Bankbuster and Bella Michelle are the horses with experience that look like they're the ones that offer some potential to break through today in the 9th at Aqueduct, 6-2-1-9. All right, that gives you some ideas. And again, we'll be back later live on OTB Live with some thoughts on this Sunday afternoon card at Aqueduct. We'll also take a look at some Churchill. And as always on a Sunday, we'll throw a little sulky side in. We'll do some Saratoga harness as well on this Sunday afternoon. So looks like should be a lot of action for you to stay tuned for. As I say, I'll be back in about an hour or so. Prior to that, they will fire up. And it looks like they're already getting ready. It looks like national anthem time in New York. So I'd expect the pregame show to be fired up fairly soon down in New York. All right. Going to wrap it up for this edition of Racing Across America. Lots of preview and review. Lots of review because, again, it was a fun stakes week. Hopefully you cashed some tickets and made a little money. There were definitely some opportunities to do that, but hopefully you just appreciated the action and maybe got some ideas going down the road for some of these stakes horses, because I think they will play out in the various divisions going forward. Many of them, not all necessarily, but I think we saw some fun racing over the past week and had some good meals as well. I again in my lunch bucket have the Pilgrim for my lunch break today, which I'll probably have for the next 3 or 4 days. Still lots of turkey left at my place. All right, we're going to wrap it up for this Sunday edition of Racing Across America. I'm Seth Merrow. As always, I definitely appreciate your tuning in. Don't forget, if you'd like to come down and watch football today throughout the NFL season, we have all the games on here at the Clubhouse Racebook. So you can come in, you can watch all the racing action, catch all the football action as well every Sunday throughout the season. 7-Eleven Central Avenue in Albany. You can also come down, grab some lunch in the restaurant. Love to have you swing by and join us on this Sunday afternoon. Otherwise, play yourself in front of the TV. I'll be back in about an hour or so. OTB Live for a Sunday afternoon. See you then.
Run up the score. Scratch number 4, and note that the 5 will be 1 pound over. In race 5, take out the 2 Widmark. Scratch number 2 Widmark. A rider change on number